Welcome to Bench with the Tovar brothers.
Oh! What's up? Welcome to Bench. We are the Tovar brothers, and this is Monday, August 21st, 2023. I am live from Miami. Hey!
Before we start, you need to explain to our YouTube audience why you're like this and why you have a cigar and a mimosa, or not mimosa, what's this vibe here? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, happy to tell you. This is the Miami vibe, baby. I am live in Miami. I'm not live, actually. Well, I guess I am live. When are you actually live? You're really always live. But I'm in Miami, and I'm just feeling the vibes here. This is Miami, Ange. On family vacation here, having a great time. I have a hot take about Miami. I'll share with you in a second. And you were back home just experiencing a devastating hurricane. Tell me about that.
Just got riddled with a lot of rain. Look, I'm not from Florida. I don't know how these hurricanes work normally.
Yeah.
My first hurricane ever. But I gotta say I'm a bit underwhelmed. It was just a lot of rain. I saw joggers yesterday. It was like mid-hurricane. People were jogging in the rain. Maybe they're trying hard to look like they're joggers, but either way, I mean, it was just a lot of rain. I mean,
yeah. And
if you go on TikTok or go on Twitter, we were not taking it seriously. Californians can't take anything seriously. We had an earthquake mid-hurricane, and we were still not taking it seriously.
Nope. Yeah, I think it's kind of a be careful what you ask for thing. Like,
yeah,
I won't gloat too much that it wasn't that big of a hurricane because next time it may be. I don't know. I'm not playing with that.
This is the first time in like 80 years we had a hurricane in California.
Right.
So hopefully I'll be long gone before the next one, and my grandkids can now joke about it.
Yeah, like, hey, I had a hurricane back when I was in my
when I was young. You know, open with you sometime when I was young. Yeah.
If you're watching here on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, thank you for doing so, for involving us in your day. I know there's so many things to listen to. I'm not sure why you chose us, but we're thankful you did.
Thank you.
It's going so well there, actually, on Apple, Spotify. You listeners are awesome. Please leave a review. If you can, please leave a review. That's so helpful to us. And follow the show between shows on Instagram, X, TikTok, and sure, even Threads. And we got a lot going on those platforms, a lot of fun stuff. I've been thinking about what you did this weekend that was posted on some of those social media outlets. Kind of fun. Like, subscribe, all those things on there. How's your weekend, Ange?
Good. I went to actually sponsor. I went to A18 Brewing for their 9th or 8th? Which one was it? 8th anniversary, and it was popping out. I went there thinking that I got there around 2. I'm like, oh, it may be a little too early for. It was packed out. People were drinking. People were vibing. I had the Valley Girl Blonde.
How was it?
Be good. Good. That's my go-to drink is the House Blondes wherever I go. So that was solid. Live music. It was a pretty good vibe.
Nice. I'm in Miami.
It doesn't compare to Miami.
No, that sounds fun. I wish I was there. Honestly, I wanted to go and see their tasting room there at 818, like live in action. Brian and the guys there do such a good job, and like the beer. I've always wanted to try it like there in its natural habitat. So maybe next time I'll go there. I'm in Miami for family vacation, and we're having a good time. My hot take about Miami is this: I've been to Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Boston. Of course, I grew up in LA. A lot of the major cities in America. Miami's the greatest city in America.
The most beautiful in more ways than one.
It is. Okay. Well, I know what you mean. Miami is so much fun. The city is alive, man. I think it's the music. You know,
it has like a natural rhythm.
Exactly. Like I was in Little Havana yesterday, and this is so funny. I just got a notification from the news outlet from the man, and it said California has been pummeled by Hurricane Hillary.
Pummeled. We've been pummeled.
I don't believe the news.
Literally over. I could see the sun from the horizon.
I'm honestly thankful it came, so my plants got watered. Anyway,
yeah. You know what? That's cool.
I was in Little Havana yesterday, and everyone just walks around rolling their shoulders because there's a constant Congo beat going. You know, like
Good morning.
we went to this bar called Ball and Chain. Awesome bar, open air. That some old Dominican guys got up. No, not Dominican. Some old Cuban guys got up there and started playing live music. Oh man, it was the vibe. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then did some shopping. Girls got some ice cream. Got a Cuban coffee. Right, it's a little sweet, kind of fun.
All right.
So much fun. And then yesterday we made a rookie Miami mistake that I hear is a common mistake from our Uber driver. He told us that. My wife visited this area right next to our hotel. We're right here down by the port, kind of where the Heat play. We're like right next to it. And she visited this little area that had some eating spots. And are you hearing the music right now? Is that what you're doing that?
No, I'm just kind of vibing out now.
And yeah, so she visited this little spot with restaurants and stuff like that, and she thought this would be a great place to bring the family for dinner. And I wasn't with her, so I would have realized, okay, this is also a lot of bars. And so apparently all these places just flip at night. I've heard the same thing about South Beach. During the day, take your family, great, have a good time. But at night, the nightlife in Miami is so strong that all these places are going to get flipped into like a party scene. And there we were with our sleeping 1-year-old and our 2-year-old watching Lion King, trying to enjoy a nice dinner. And there's just 20-something-year-olds all around us just getting wasted and having a good time.
That sounds heavenly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you would have enjoyed it, but not great for us. We kind of ate fast. We couldn't get out of there.
Yeah.
But, good times in Miami here. We leave for a cruise today. But guess what, Inch? We don't miss shows.
No.
We don't miss shows. We'll still see you Wednesday, see you Friday.
The NFL just doesn't stop. Like, at this point, when we're this far into the season, like, it's no rest until the draft. And then the draft, you finally have a little break. But from now on, it's just news.
Yeah, we'll come up for air next June.
Yeah.
We might do a short show next June. But till then, full show, baby, because the NFL does not stop. And it did not stop this weekend. We have a whole slew of news here. Let's just be open book about it, Ange. This is our second time recording this because I forgot to press record the first time. And so
so we've ran through this.
We've gone through this once before. So we had a nice practice session right before this. Good thing imagine we've done the whole show. Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway, into the news here. The Colts signed former Steelers second-round pick James Washington. I know it's not a big deal, but every time, because James Washington hurt me on my fantasy team a couple years ago, every time his name pops up, I just think, you're not real, man. You don't mean it.
He's like who do we just compare? He's one of those guys who just goes to the team just for like the free tote bag and like the iPad
for the merch. Yeah.
Hey, guess how many hats? I'll get a hat.
Right. He has a bunch of team visors on his on his bed at home. So James Washington, he'll go with the Colts. I mean, some decent depth for them.
Trying to solidify that pass catching room for rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, they have a pretty good room now if you think about it. I think they have Pittman, Pierce, and they
Downs.
brought Isaiah McKenzie.
Yep, and then they drafted Josh Downs.
Now they
James Washington could be just the fifth guy.
Solid. That's very solid as a fifth guy. In bigger news here, the Ravens signed Jadeveon Clowney, literally bigger news, to a 1-year deal, giving them a key situational pass rusher. And I think that's a good point to make, is that he's a situational. It's a luxury to have Jadeveon Clowney because they have Owe and Ajabu coming off that injury. So they don't need him. They're just going to put him in there when they need a special pass rusher. What do you think?
This is one of my favorite signings up to this point, is because this Ravens team is getting slept on. Yeah. They have a very real – it wouldn't surprise me if they're number 1 or 2 seed, or they're a very good team. They were hurt last year. Obviously, Lamar Jackson and some of their key players on like defense were hurt. But I like corners. I love this team.
You froze there for a second. Say it again.
No, I was just saying that this team has depth everywhere where you want it. Depth at corner, depth at pass rusher. Healthy Lamar Jackson. I love this team this year.
Yeah, the Ravens, I think they'll be right up there. They're not as sexy as some of these other teams. The Bills, the Chiefs just won a Super Bowl. Herbert.
I think them and Pittsburgh have the same vibe. They're not sexy at all, but they're going to be a solid team. Yeah.
Look for the Ravens to be in this thing at the end of the year. He's gonna wear 24. What do you think?
Kobe, baby, Mamba.
Yeah, everyone's honoring Kobe still. A couple years after
his impact on sports
Huge.
is going to be felt for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, you even see the overseas soccer teams, those guys weren't.
It's that Mamba mentality that's so
when
you're trying to start a business or be a sports player or anything in life, you think Mamba mentality just means you keep going. You work really hard at your craft, whatever you do. It's just so universally loved and grasped.
He was such a brand, that's a brand. That's how you build a brand. He's so much bigger than he probably actually was, his brand. Oh, excuse me. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers will make his debut week 3 of the preseason. I'm very excited about this. I want to see him out there with Garrett Wilson. I want to see it. I want to see him with Lazard, all those guys. I don't probably need to see Breece Hall yet. Let's leave him on the back burner, but they'll probably have Dalvin Cook out there. And most importantly, we got to see his offensive line in action.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, I want to see him out there for one series. I don't want to get this 39-year-old quarterback hit if he doesn't have to get hit. Put him out for one series, do a little out routes, do a couple. I don't even care if they don't score. This offense is going to be fine. Just don't get hurt, Aaron.
Right. Yeah, and I think the longer you have him out there, you have to have every single other starter out there with him because you're not going to waste Aaron Rodgers' time. So you kind of multiply the chances at a serious injury to one of your key players by 11 times each time you have him out there. So be fun to see him. Don't need to see too much of him. Moving on here, the Panthers agree to terms with veteran cornerback Troy Hill. That's for your former Broncos defensive coordinator. Now the coordinator there in Carolina is Ejiro Evero. So you had a point about him.
Yeah, look out for his name next year in head coaching. In the head coaching hiring process, he got interviewed a couple times this offseason. I know the Broncos interviewed him for their head coaching spot last year. Young defensive mind who's in the Fangio coaching tree. So he runs the Fangio defense, which is everyone's running the Fangio defense now.
Yeah.
So look out for him next year in the head coaching circles. Yeah,
that's a great point because Fangio did a good job of showing. So the NFL kind of transitioned right to where some of these offenses were putting up insane numbers. These quarterbacks, these receivers, they changed the rules, so you couldn't really put your hands on them, stuff like that. And Fangio kind of introduced a defense or a scheme that seemed to work against these high-powered offenses. And so I think that's why you're seeing the success of him. Now, Fangio's still in the league, still a very sought-after defensive coordinator. And then all his disciples now are seeing some success as well.
Yeah, they're all spread out throughout the league. Most of them are coordinators. But just in general, look out for this guy and next year in head coaching circles.
For sure. Gutekunst was back in the year, GM of the Green
Classic
Packers. He had a classic Gunther tweet here. There was some buzz over the weekend about David Bakhtiari. We know he's Aaron Rodgers' boy, and there was some buzz about him going over to the Jets. Of course, they need some offensive line help, most likely, and we all thought, of course,
no,
of course, Bakhtiari's going to go there. Well, Gunther said, "Not on my watch."
No, there's no reason for the Packers to help out Aaron Rodgers. They've already done enough. Yeah. I mean,
he had one line about it. And then he kind of just dropped the mic. He said, first of all, we're not going to trade David. Let's get out of the way. And he moved on with his life.
Yeah, it's just it's almost probably laughable.
Yeah.
Packers we're not going to trade Bakhtiari, especially with a young quarterback coming in, starting this year. I think this all started because Aaron Rodgers tagged Bakhtiari literally on his ass in a picture on Instagram. And some random beat for, Bakhtiari, you might go. No, chill. Rodgers has played you guys like a freaking.
Rodgers knows how to play the system. He knows how to troll the entire league. And he may have he may have been trolling Gunther.
Yeah. just a little bit of a headache he has to answer a question that he hates to answer. Yeah.
And Gunther comes out and just drops a classic Gunther bomb on it.
Classic Gunt.
I love that. Veteran linebacker Miles Jack has informed the Eagles, who he just signed with, that he plans to retire after 7 seasons. He had just over 600 tackles, and now he will hang them up. Let's get a quick cheers before we get into this. To Miles.
Cheers for he was one of my favorite college athletes. I'm a UCLA fan. Watching him in college, he was both sides of the ball, running back, linebacker. He was phenomenal. He was the only that was under the Jim Mora regime.
Yeah.
So pretty bleak times when it was, it's always bleak for UCLA football, but still, he was a very good athlete. And then he was part of that elite Jaguars defense with young Jalen Ramsey, with Boye,
right.
So he had a nice playing career. He probably wants to get out before his body breaks down, 100%. So
right. Yeah, you see these linebackers and these running backs sometimes duck out early because they're just battering rams, and not just in the league. They've been battering rams their entire football career. So all that time, he was both at UCLA. So he took double punishment. That's insane how you think about it. A linebacker and a running back in a D1, like a legit program at UCLA. Like that's wild who's able to do that. But it probably took a toll on his body. So no blame here for retiring, and we'll miss you, Miles. I do wish I was excited to get him on the Eagles. He was like immediately getting first team reps. And so I was kind of excited to have some linebacker help there, a veteran, someone who has obviously a high pedigree, and bummer for us, but good for you, Miles Jack. Have a great retirement, buddy. Their starting guard, Tevin Jenkins, is dealing with a leg injury, and that might keep him sidelined the first month of the regular season. Big deal or no?
Big deal. For a team that's trying to establish an offensive presence right away, I'm sure every team is, but this team especially trying to they've slowly rebuilt this line over the last 2 years. They drafted Braxton Jones, and this year they drafted Darnell Wright. They signed Nate Davis away from Tennessee. Cody Whitehair been playing center for them for like a while. Right. But the depth behind Tevin Jenkins is not good. They had former first round pick, I think, Alex Leatherwood is your backup guard. So
not great,
but hopefully this line is strong enough at this point to manage it until he comes back.
Yeah, they were top 3 in rushing attempts last year, and they should maybe take a step or two back with all the passing weapons they added this offseason, but I still think they'll be up there, especially with Justin Fields as your quarterback. Running the ball is going to be a huge part of your game. They actually added a couple of running backs as well. So they want to run the ball, and so having a cohesive unit up front is so important to them. And Tevin Jenkins now, he missed 11 games last year. He's going to start this year, missing out on some games. Not great for them. They need a little bit more cohesion there, a little more experience just together. It's a young team all across the board.
Yeah, and hopefully this guy comes back. He's a difference maker for them for sure.
For sure. Speaking of Alex Leatherwood and the Raiders, their running back Josh Jacobs will end his holdout and reports to the team week 1 versus the Broncos. This is per @Review Journal. You think it's fugazi? I think it might be real, but honestly, we don't know. This isn't Rappaport. This isn't Schefter. So if you're listening, that's the report we saw on Twitter @Review Journal. Look it up yourself. That's not the source I would hang my hat on, but we'll see.
I'm going full. That's so Raven, and I'm just gonna say I can see a tweet in like a couple hours. Josh Jacobs just puts LOL or like some kind of like petty response to this.
LOL. I think, sources ?
Yeah, I saw a quote from Josh McDaniels, head coach of the Raiders, and someone asked him about Josh Jacobs, and he said it's hard to get up to speed or something. Like, I'm a paraphrase. It's like it's hard to get up to speed when you haven't been in camp or something petty like that. And then for this to come out after that, something's I don't know.
Yeah,
I gotta see him in the Raiders facility before I believe anything.
I also think you feel that way because, like a freaking snake in the grass, you offered me Zamir White this morning.
I didn't know did not know that.
I don't believe you. I know how quick you are on Twitter, on X.
I was trying to help you out, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Trying to make sure that you're good.
That's your legacy in fantasy football for sure. You like to help.
I'm trying to help everybody. I'm just trying to be a good league mate.
That's all I have for the news. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm actually scrolling Twitter now. I'm just not looking forward to. I'm curious to see these updates on these players who got hurt this weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of injuries this week, so hopefully everyone gets healthy soon. And
yeah, a lot of injuries. Preseason starting to wind down here. I think one more week left.
Yeah,
you probably won't see anyone this week. It's
actually, I saw a report that the Browns are going to play their starters.
Really? Well, I guess you're right because we just announced that the Jets are going to play their guys. So maybe we will. I don't know.
I don't think we've gotten this down to a science, head coaches, with this 3 preseason. I don't think we've gotten it down to a science because I think wasn't week 3 when it was 4 weeks? Was it week 3 the week where everyone played their guys?
Right.
So maybe this is just like, oh, we're still going to do that. I mean, who knows?
That's rehearsal type thing.
Yeah, and then
try to fight the rust for week 1.
Yeah.
We'll get some live action there. Yeah, maybe. I mean, a lot of these teams just had their joint practices, and so now maybe a drive or two of real live game action is just what you need, a final tune-up before the season. But either way, one more week of preseason. We're pumped to see it, wind down. We're pumped to see that Lions-Chiefs game to open up the season. Cannot wait for that.
Can't wait. Waiting so long. We're so deprived of real football. Please, can't wait for that.
Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to talk a little fantasy, and then we're going to talk a little preseason, kind of what we saw with our preseason takeaways. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back with a little bit of fantasy football talk here. Let me tell you, this Cuban coffee has me buzzing. Like, I am like...
Yeah, I could kind of tell. You got a little bit of like rhythm to you.
Yeah.
Your heart's
also now in the bathroom. Let's address that. I am now in the bathroom recording because number one, the
father.
Show. Yeah. My kids are outside just having a World War III tantrum, and I need a quiet place to record. So I am now in the restroom recording, and I'm not going to pay for the upgrade for the blurred background. So you're just going to have to look at that white door. It could be the toilet. So
it could be the toilet. Yeah. There are worse situations that could happen in a bathroom besides recording a podcast.
Absolutely. And so just if I want to switch over to Apple, Spotify, whatever, handle it how you see fit. We're going to move now into a little fantasy talk, and we're going to go into Sleeper records or releases their biggest ADP movers. I'm not sure how often they do it, but every now and then I get a tweet about what's going on in the fantasy world. Number one, shout out to Sleeper for being the best fantasy app out there. They're not sponsored. We're not like sponsored by them or anything. They're just better than ESPN.
It's for the fantasy nerds, I think. I feel like ESPN's for the casual, but for the nerds, Sleeper app's pretty good.
For sure. And so they released who currently is moving down the most and who's moving up the most. So we'll go through a couple of these players. And this is all fantasy talk. Okay. So if you're listening, we're talking fantasy. As far as starting with moving down, we're going to start with Kenneth Walker. And it sucks that he is in this list because at the end of last year, especially in a dynasty league, you were so pumped to have Kenneth Walker. Like you were over the moon to have him. And it seems like since that moment of that high, he has just taken hit after hit after hit. Of course, the biggest hit being them drafting UCLA running back Zach Charbonnet. Now he's dealing with an injury, and that ADP's fallen. What do you think about Kenneth Walker fantasy wise?
I think since the Zach Charbonnet, it's just been falling. It's just because Zach Charbonnet, like I said, I'm a UCLA fan. He's a very capable back. He can catch the ball. He can run, be between the tackles. He's not a little guy. And I think Kenneth Walker had some injuries last year, so he's always had that. And this is just a reshaping. It's a reshape our mindset where workhorse running backs may not continue on years and years and years. It could be a 1 year, like the only guy in the building that was capable of being a running back, and then the next year they would draft or they would get someone else to help them out. And he was a volume play last year in PPR. He had catches. He was a volume play. So those guys typically tend to get help, which doesn't help them fantasy-wise, but helps them in real life.
Yeah, another mark I think about Kenneth Walker that I consider when I look at him fantasy-wise is the addition of Jackson Smith and Jigba also affects him in a certain way as well. And not as much as Zach Charbonnet, but with those two coupled, I think JSN, him being there, listen, this is a wide receiver core that already demanded a lot of touches, took a lot of the touchdowns away. Now add in maybe the best receiver in the draft, and there's a lot of mouths to feed, So the passing game work maybe is not there as much. The touchdowns aren't there as much. You're also splitting whatever's left over with another running back. It's just not great for Kenneth Walker. It sucks because you thought you had a home run with him, for the next couple of years, but doesn't seem that's how it's playing out. The next one on this list, and this was a surprise to me, but it might just be because of terrible quarterback play there, is Chris Godwin.
Godwin. It's just the Baker Mayfield aspect. I'm out on Chris Godwin this because of the Mayfield and the Kyle Trask.
Yeah.
He's been a solid wideout, but sometimes wideouts can't overcome a bad quarterback, or it feels like a miracle when they do catch the ball or get targeted. So I could see why this would be on the downward turn.
Yeah, I think this year you can't have incredibly high hopes for him, and then in the long term, if you're in a keeper league, you just don't know what the quarterback situation will be. And what was the biggest turnoff to me was the ceiling there is just not very high. Like he might be a decent player, but there's no way you're going to get a top 10 performance out of Chris Godwin with those quarterbacks, so it's just not a lot of ceiling there. The next one is Treylon Burks, and he's fallen about 4 or 5 spots. Treylon Burks is interesting because he's kind of the same thing. The Titans have typically just kept one go-to type receiver, but they go out to top season and bring in DeAndre Hopkins, and it seems like the landscape of Treylon Burks has shifted completely. Are you taking Treylon Burks at all? What does his fantasy season look like in your mind?
He's a flex at best this year, just because in standard leagues where 2 running back, 2 wideout, and a flex, I don't see him ever being the most targeted targeted player on his team.
Yeah.
So that's already out of wideout 1, wideout 2. And and a low volume passing offense, which is going to target the primary wideout, which is obviously DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, I could see how. And then he got hurt. A lot of bad things happening, kind of snowballing into a ADP to where you're like, I don't want to draft this guy. I don't feel confident drafting him. Where you could take other flyers, like at this point, I'd like to take a Javonte Williams and a Treylon Burks, just because when he comes back, James Williams is an offense. Well, feed him. You're not sure what kind of offense it is, how much they're going to pass with Tannehill and with Derrick Henry.
Right. I kind of see an opportunity here. I think.
Wow.
I don't want him as my starting receiver, but like you said, with this Titans offense, they're going to pretty much funnel their targets to one guy, and DeAndre Hopkins has been hurt a lot.
It's true.
And so if you can get away with. And it's all about price here. It's all about what you have to pay to get him. But if you can get away with getting Treylon Burks on the back end of your bench for a, let's say in a redraft league for a 10th round and beyond, like some super late pick, that could be a home run for you. Because if DeAndre Hopkins gets hurt, and God forbid long term, Treylon Burks is going to be a very valuable asset there, and that could be something that you're looking forward to having maybe down the stretch of the season. Let's go to the who's moving up. Number 1 here is Tyreek Hill. I think the buzz is building. Tua's looking good. Maybe people are forgetting, not forgetting, but seeing Tua move past some of these concussion issues, and it's becoming older and older, and seeing him on the football field. And so Tyreek's moving up.
And I think some of this is because they can see, because he's not a top 5 pick ADP wise. So it's a not top 5 pick who might have wideout 1,
right?
Who has wideout 1 potential. Obviously, I think there's a value there, and it just got overplayed so much. And now it's like, oh, we should take Tyreek Hill a little bit earlier. This is just because every show, I watch fantasy shows, I listen to podcasts. Every show talks about him being a sleeper. I think when you talk about it so much with a superstar, it just tends to move him up a little bit,
right?
But worthy of to be moved up for sure.
And to your point, he's going from average 7th overall pick to average 6th. So he's inching his way toward that top 5.
Yeah.
And he's look at his numbers from last year. I mean, he
is the value pick in the first round. Yeah. He's Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Especially if you're like in the mid to late rounds and you want to go with that 0 RB strategy, getting someone like Tyreek Hill to start in the later rounds. Tyreek Hill is, to me, every bit the fantasy receiver that Cooper Kupp or Jamar Chase is. Maybe not Justin. Well, no, Justin Jefferson too. Like he's putting up those kind of numbers.
Yeah. So it's
Um,
an insane value this year.
yeah.
I love Tyreek Hill this year in fantasy.
Moving up as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I think people are just getting really comfortable with him now as the guy there. Jameson Williams just seems like his career has just been weird so far. And so I think people are getting comfortable with Amon-Ra St. Brown being the guy there in an offense that is going to put up points. Amon-Ra St. Brown, young receiver, target monster, tough guy, doesn't really miss too much games, knock on wood. And I like him.
Yeah, I think he provides a nice safety blanket. I think if you're doing the flip side, if you're doing running back heavy, you can get Amon-Ra St. Brown in the PPR league. Like at least I have a safe guy who's going to give me points and won't lose me games. Right. He's also very talented. And the Lions getting hype. Maybe that's why he's moving up. I also love if you can somehow pair Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown in a zero RB league. That's considered a win. That's
maybe
awesome.
If you're like 6th or 7th and you get Tyreek Hill, and then your pick comes around again, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Next year on the list is Evan Ingram. He's moved up 4 spots, so pretty big move here for Evan Ingram. Interesting, right? I'm not sure why. Really, maybe
I don't know.
Maybe I think it might be this. Maybe Evan Ingram. People are drafting and they're seeing the tight end landscape and they're thinking, well, the best of Evan Ingram's tier is Evan Ingram. So maybe let's take him above a Freiermuth. Let's take him above an Njoku. Let's take above those kind of guys, maybe.
I don't see the reason why, but he's been a capable wideout, pass catching tight end. I'm sorry, for his whole career. So
pretty much a wideout. You're not wrong.
Also, maybe the hype behind Trevor Lawrence is that he'll elevate everyone else around him. So maybe that's probably why.
And the last one here, this just makes me happy. Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa. Dang it. I should be able to say that by now. Tua moving up as well. I think people are starting to believe that he can stay healthy, stuff like that. The injury is just getting older and older now. And I hope he can, because for so many different reasons, I want to see this guy succeed. What he's dealing with, he's already not like the typical athletic build for a quarterback in the NFL. So you just want to see him make it, and you want to see those weapons excel to what can Tyreek Hill put up the numbers that he's saying he can? Was it 2,000 yards?
I think this is because they saw him play and he looked solid.
Yeah.
But a little bit of the non-hype is because there's a lefty bias in the league where if you throw the ball lefty, it doesn't look as cool or as strong.
Except if Michael Vick does it.
No, but like I think he's a good quarterback. He could be a great quarterback. And I think they're just buying on this Dolphins offense. I think the sleepers this year are all in Miami. Wideouts and quarterback wise. All these guys are sleepers with the capability of being a top 5 passing offense.
Right. Well, that's it for the ADP movers. Those are fun. We'll check in on those every now and then. Let's jump in here to the preseason takeaways. Preseason, like we said, is about to wrap up. 1 more week left, and we've seen some of these players. We see some of these teams, some of these units, and we have some takeaways here that we want to give. Angel, why don't you start us off? What's your first preseason takeaway that you've kind of noticed last couple of weeks?
I'll start with a favorite of mine. I've mentioned a million times. Javonte Williams. Yeah. He came out after 10.5 months after tearing his ACL, LCL, and other stuff in his knee. 10.5 months, he came out and he had, his stats were three carries for 12 yards and 4 catches for 18 yards. The second drive, it was Sean Payton purposely directing plays towards Javonte Williams. This is important because if you want to get Russell Wilson back on track, you need to have good run game. You need to have versatile weapons in the backfield. That's where Russell Wilson was at best. So this is more of a play for Russell Wilson if you can, believe, because they're trying to get him comfortable. To get him comfortable, you need good running backs. Javonte Williams is a very good running back. And P. Ryan looked good too. I'm looking forward to his running game being slept on and them surprising people, because this is how you get Russell Wilson back. Strong run game, play action to capable wideouts out there. This is a big takeaway, is that if they can get this running game going, there's a good chance they can get this passing game going.
Yeah, you look at what I don't want to say that Sean Payton made Kamara because I think Kamara is an incredibly talented player, but
Yeah,
how
for
he
sure.
was able to maximize his skills there for years in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You look at someone like Javonte Williams, who has the passing game acumen, who's obviously a very talented runner. The sky's the limit. It's really just the injury. But if
Yeah.
he's showing that I'm past this injury and I'm gonna deal with it in a way that maybe only Adrian Peterson has done before,
Yeah.
this guy, we could easily be talking about him in these top 5 picks next year.
Yeah, I mean, after the game, he was quoted as saying he felt like a weight was lifted off of him. And then he said later, I was thinking it would hurt or something, but I really didn't feel it. I just got right back up. Yeah, I think this is and I think even with a Breece Hall coming back and this video of him running, I think we have to reshape our mindset with ACLs.
Yeah,
I think we're starting to, medical science gotten so far to where we can cut down these time frames by a couple months even, because Breece Hall, I saw a video, he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And was a little bit further down. He was a little bit I think Javonte Williams was a little more severe, but I'm loving what I'm seeing over there. And like you said, the amount of screens Sean Payton has in his offense, just in general, for every position player, this is great for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, very excited to see what his year ends up being and hoping he stays healthy. Over to another young running back, what I've noticed is preseason, and he's only taken a couple carries, but let me tell you right now, the era of Bijan Robinson is here. He looks so good. In practice, you see the videos, you see the cuts, you see him running routes against DBs and just making them look foolish. Yeah. And this guy is going to be such a fantasy darling for the next couple years. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. I am so pumped about Bijan Robinson. He had his first carry this last weekend, and just in that first carry, he looked amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone saw the video. It was pretty low key. That video was everywhere. It was all over social media. It was all over Twitter.
Seriously.
He looked smooth when he ran, and he's smaller, but I think height wise, but I think he has enough weight on him. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. On that one run, he showed so many things. He showed incredible burst, just flying through that hole. He saw the hole and he hit the hole so smooth, but yet fast. Speed under control. And then you see him with the quick footwork with the first guy making a miss. That doesn't even touch him. Just the quick footwork. And then you see him open up in the second level, and it's just like, man, this guy's gonna be a hit. Selected 8th overall. Just 4 carries, 20 yards, and he had a catch in there. But he obviously flashed, and he's going to be great. The Falcons were the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL over the Bears and the Eagles, who ran it so much with those quarterbacks. And the Falcons had a rushing quarterback as well, but he's no longer there. So there's now 85 more carries that Marcus Mariota had last year that's going to be distributed. That means to me, obviously smash, play Bijan Robinson, play him all
fantasy-wise.
And then, honestly, I'd be comfortable with Tyler Algier.
Yeah.
With this many carries going around, and if Arthur Smith's going to run it like this, take both of those guys. They might both – Algier might be, obviously, a better value.
I'm on board with this. One thing I don't like about this, I don't like him more in number 7 still. Come on, man. Michael Vick, dude. Michael Vick is the best Falcons quarterback of all time, I think. And I think little disrespectful, but I mean, I wish it was a different number. But besides that, air was playing up for this guy and this Falcons offense for sure.
For sure. That's do you have another takeaway?
Yeah, I do actually. 2 quarterbacks actually. I'll just pair them together. One quarterback, I kind of want to get your opinion on Brock Purdy. So last year, 9 starts, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks, has probably one of the better set of weapons as far as pass catchers, running backs. He has everything you can ask for. He famously tore his UCL in the Eagle game, and that's the biggest what if last year was what if Purdy wouldn't have gotten hurt.
Right.
What if Purdy would have been able to play a full game against that Philadelphia team? I'm just wondering if he comes out this year, throws 30 touchdowns. Where does he rank in the NFC? How do we see this guy? Because we never saw Jimmy G as a top NFC quarterback ever,
right?
Because we pushed that all towards Shanahan. what if this guy comes out and just tears it up this year? Are we going to think of him as a good quarterback or as a system quarterback? I think him personally has to shake that system quarterback off. But I'm not sure he can do it in San Francisco. But I'm just curious at what we're going to do if he turns out to be naturally a good player.
I think someone like Brock Purdy there's a reason he was the last pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Like, there's physical things there that are just not very impressive in the NFL landscape. He's obviously not like this incredible athlete. You look at him and think like, oh yeah, of course. He doesn't look like Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think because of that, he will always be viewed as a system quarterback in San Francisco. I think that's unfair because we've seen quarterbacks go in there and not be able to do it. He has one on his team. Trey Lance looks like the guy that you want to draft. Big, strong, fast, all the physical skills, can throw it a mile, all those different things. But yet Brock Purdy's the one who operates his offense at the highest level. And so, I don't know. I think with Brock Purdy, I think he is a system fit. But I think there's something to him that he can make this system work better than all the other quarterbacks they've tried there. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both. As far as where he would stand in the NFC, I mean, obviously the Niners, a quarterback away is kind of like the narrative about them. And I think if Purdy is the one to take him there, I think he's going to be up there with Cousins and Dak and those kind of guys. And if he can beat Hurts in the playoff game, I think even they're up there with Hurts and, Fields also trying to get there as well. But I think Purdy has a real opportunity here. I want to see him healthy. I want to see what this Niners team can do.
Like I bring him up because he played against the Denver Broncos Saturday, and he was 4 for 5 for 65 yards. He looked very good, and he has all the weapons you could possibly want. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and one of the better, if not the best, play callers in the league in Shanahan. So I like what I saw from him, and my preseason takeaway is that he might be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. Also, another quarterback who I saw they look fantastic, this whole offense, was Kenny Pickett. In that same realm of good weapons, good running backs, improved offensive line, he was 9 for 11 with two touchdowns. Had a nice pass to Freiermuth up the seam, back shoulder up the seam pass. If last year, not very good. 7 touchdowns, 9 picks. Wasn't anything memorable. Wasn't anything crazy. But the reports out of camp, these camp reports are always, you don't know if they're true or not, that he's looked good, looked better, he has improved.
Yeah.
He's also a guy who could change the landscape of this AFC North, because if he's good, how is this going to balance out? This is a very tough division just by itself.
Right.
So he played very well in this preseason. I'm not sure if he's going to play again, but I'm excited to see where he ends up, at the end of this year.
Yeah, it should be interesting with Kenny Pickett. I think the NFL had begun to write him off, but the NFL has so much respect. And I'm talking about fans and players, coaches, all that, has so much respect for the Steelers and especially Mike Tomlin that when someone like Mike Tomlin sticks with you, you want to believe that maybe there's something to this.
For sure.
Mike Tomlin sees it. I trust Mike Tomlin. I think that's one of the knocks on Chase Claypool is that the Steelers and Mike Tomlin were willing to give up on him. So now the whole NFL is like, whoa, wait a minute. It's almost like back in the day when Belichick would make a trade and you're like, or draft someone like late in the draft. You're like, whoa. Like, is this a genius pick that you know about type thing? I think Tomlin has that kind of respect. And so I don't know. I think Kenny Pickett, I'll be honest, I was one of the guys who thought this might not be the answer here kind of like quickly, which is unfair. It's one season.
Yeah.
He has the weapons around him. I think they did a lot of work in that O-line. And he has a legit superstar in the backfield at Najee Harris that can take off a lot of that pressure and just an incredible talent, sky the limit at receiver with with George Pickens. Kenny Pickett's someone because if he can bring the Steelers to a point where they're a real thing in the AFC North. You got the Ravens, of course, we see them ascending back to the top here. The Bengals are the Bengals. The Browns get Deshaun Watson back. This division is a nightmare.
Nightmare.
We'll see with them. I have one more here, preseason takeaway, and it's also about quarterbacks. And this is my takeaway here. If your team has one of these rookie quarterbacks, I'm talking about Bryce, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, you need to temper expectations because none of these guys are going to hit the ground running. None of them. As my kids are screaming in the background, it's all good. None of these guys are going to hit the ground running. They all need time. We've seen all of them. We've seen plenty of snaps from them this preseason, and they all look like they need time, and that is 100% fine.
Yeah.
They're all super talented guys. You look at Anthony Richardson there. We've seen him make the off-platform throws, just bad decisions that just come from a guy who hasn't played a lot of football at quarterback. There's obviously a little bit of turmoil around him with Jonathan Taylor and new head coach, new system, all those different things. It's going to take a minute. And then you look at Bryce Young, and I'm honestly just afraid for if he could stay healthy. He is so small, and we've seen him take massive hits already. The Jets just beat him up so bad. He just keeps and he's always played with, obviously he played at Alabama, so he played with big guys.
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid for him. And CJ Stroud just looks like the game's a little fast for him right now, which makes sense. He's a rookie. But you've seen him in college just on the biggest stages, own it and use all of the tools at his, disposal, running the ball, all that. And so I don't know. I think just take your time with all these guys, but don't give up on them if they don't come out guns blazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like obviously Stroud. Bryce Young, like you said, he's been playing at this height and weight for his whole career and has made it to one of the best college program in college sports as far as football. That's Alabama. He's able to be a starter for Alabama. So he's talented enough to get there. And I think we have to get used to his height. It's very jarring to see when he's getting hit and he's getting thrown around. He's literally my height, which is crazy. But then Richardson might be a slow bake. Take what you can get. It's going to take some time. I love Stroud, but I'm also aware not great weapons. So it might take him a year. But yeah, I'm on board with this.
Well, those are our preseason takeaways for today so far, going to week 3. It's going to be a fun week 3. Can't wait to get that as we keep going here. And that's really the show. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, actually, our last preseason game is tonight. It's the Commanders versus the Ravens. And the Ravens are looking to keep up their NFL record, 24 straight wins in the preseason.
Oh.
I'm not sure if this matters for anything, but it's just a cool stat.
It's just fun.
Just fun. Like, they haven't lost since September 3rd, 2015. Like, in the preseason, I'm saying. That's just John Harbaugh coaching these guys up well. And,
right.
So looking forward to it.
Every year.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show for today. Please like, subscribe, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok, all those different things. You have a great Monday. And we'll see you Wednesday.
Bye.